What's up, guys? This is Pack Rats MTG. I'm Cameron. This is my boy Patrick. We're here with another episode of Keep It or Cull It. So in these episodes, we go through our personal collection. We randomly choose cards from each color, multicolor, and artifacts to get a pile of 14 cards. Again, randomly chosen. Patrick and I don't know what are coming. We're going to bring them up. We're going to talk a little bit about the card, what they might mean to us, maybe some nostalgia, and then we're going to vote together on whether we keep the card or whether we cull the card. Patrick, you ready to dive in?
Let's get into it.
Before I forget, guys, before we get into it, go down below, subscribe, like the video, make sure you leave us a comment on what you see, turn on the bell so you know that when we send a new video out, it'll notify you, and let's do it. First color, red. First card is Magnivore. Magnivore is 2 and 2 red for star haste. It says Magnivore's power and toughness are each equal to the number of sorcery cards in all graveyards. What are your thoughts on Magnivore, bud?
Woof. For a red card, I find him appealing. For a magic card, not into it. Like overall, I think I'm ready to call him right now.
I'm going to veto you. So, guys, this is kind of an unwritten rule that we have. If somebody votes to keep, the keep automatically wins because, obviously, for keeping cards collections. I'm going to veto you on this one, bud, because I remember back in the day when Wildfire decks loved this card. Do you remember that? Boomerang, Wildfire, not Boomerang, but the other one, Out of Nowhere. Wildfire, and it was very sorcery based. I thought it was a cool thing, and it was Isn't, which is to me the only excuse to play red. So I'm going to vote to keep it just because I don't know if I'm going to want to run something like that.
Great art.
Just in case clause. Very great art. Hands coming out of the stomach. Next card, Fatal Frenzy. You got 2 and a red for an instant until end of turn. Target creature you control gains trample and gains +X+0, where X is its power. You sack it at the end of the turn. So it's basically red's much more expensive Berserk.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I love that card in Limited.
Oh, I know.
You know, when you're playing creature-based red, sometimes it can be hard to get damage through. You know, first strike is nice for when you're going toe-to-toe and when you're piloting red in a limited scenario, but in terms of pushing damage through, if they have sufficient quantity of chump blockers, it can be really tough. So something like that can tip the scales pretty easily. So I really enjoy Fatal Frenzy.
So
I'm
that's
into keeping
it.
it.
Sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should definitely put that in one of our cubes.
I was just about to say that. I think John and I were actually talking about using this in the cube, and I think he thought that it might have been overpowered. But I personally think it might fit well. But again, remember, guys, when you're building a cube, you want to build it to an appropriate level of power. That's kind of what we're referring to. That's for another video. But
yeah.
Anyway, next color, blue. We've got the Guardian of Tazim. He's a 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue for a 4/5 flying landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, tap a creature an opponent controls. If that land is an island, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step.
Yeah, so again, I wonder if this will be the entire video, but I love that card in Limited. Again, I would be happy to put that in one of our cubes. I probably wouldn't play that in Constructed, but I have had great experiences with him in Limited.
Yeah, I'm going to vote on the keep for the cube sake as well. And again, I definitely agree with you. Constructed purposes, it's kind of hard to abuse the landfall mechanic in blue, but a cool card nonetheless. Definitely cool art. We're hitting some good art tonight, man.
We are.
We need to start talking about this.
And I should say it's not super difficult to exploit blue's landfall abilities with things like, I think it's Royal Elemental, like where the landfall ability lets you steal stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Well, sure. All I'm saying is, you know, other colors have the ability to replay lands or sack the lands or ramp lands to the library.
Powering the landfall itself. Sure.
Yeah, you don't necessarily fuel landfall extra, except for with some of those stock up on toilet paper kind of cards, like Burnished Heart here at Landscape. Yep. Okay, Ephemeron, which is 4 mana for, 4 and 2 blue for a 4/4 flying. Choose and discard a card to return Ephemeron to its owner's hand. I gotta say, I used to play this card to death. It was such a good card for Drago Blue, where they needed to be able to have a reliable creature that never was going to get removed. Excellent card for that purpose. And again, fills the yard. So if you're playing a Reanimator strategy, which you're probably not going to try to fuel off of a 6-mana stick, but being able to fill the yard and manage a 4/4 flyer is kind of nice. And even still, I don't know that I think it's a terrible card. What are your thoughts?
I'm much more of a fan of his younger brother, Errant Ephemeron. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The suspend.
Yeah. Love that one. The OG here, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the original Ephemeron.
So vote. Keep a call.
I'll say Cull.
All right. I'll give it to you. Cold. Next color. Megatherium. He's a 2 and a green for a 4/4 trample. When Megatherium comes into play, you sacrifice it unless you pay a colorless for each card in your hand.
Woo.
Gosh.
That means I would be paying, well, when I cast it, 6 mana every time I try to play that card. So that's a terrible card in my mind.
It's an atrocious card. I can't even defend it for limited. I'm going to auto vote Cull right away.
Yeah, Cull.
Excellent.
Awful.
I'm a brick.
Next green card, Hidden Stag. 1 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever one of your opponents plays a land, if Hidden Stag is an enchantment, it becomes a 3/2 creature that counts as a beast. Whenever you play a land, if Hidden Stag is a creature, it becomes an enchantment again. So if I remember right, this is the only card in that enchantment animate cycle from the Urza's block that actually reverted to the enchantment state, which of course makes it a unique card in its ability stack. And frankly, it's not bad to be able to flicker back and forth, but these days a 2-mana 3/2 is just not intimidating. It's just not overwhelming enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that there's a classic example of something that has fallen by the wayside due to power creep. It's just not, I couldn't see myself playing that card ever.
No, not even in a limited scenario. There are just too many other decent options for a 2-mana whatever, a 2-mana anything in green in limited, even if your power level is fairly low. So I think we're both unified on the Cull.
Yep.
Which means we're even right now for Keeper Cull.
Okay.
All right, next color, Cabal Conditioning. This is a 6 and a black sorcery. Any number of target players each discards cards from his or her hand equal to the highest converted mana cost among permanents you control. Okay.
Cull.
Give me a hell yeah.
It's awful.
Get it out of here. Listen, I'm going to try to defend this for just a half a second.
Okay.
You and I are obviously not multicolor or multiplayer players generally. Our play group tends to do heads up commander for the sake of efficiency more than anything.
Exactly.
But if we were to have a night where we decided we were going to do a multicolor or a multiplayer option at 7 mana, making all of your opponents discard their hands might actually be a top-end play of choice for black. What do you think about that scenario?
I mean, I think you're right. I'm not convinced for our sake. If someone out there does do a lot of big multiplayer, then sure, that might be a card for you. But neither you or I plays those sorts of games. So I still say Cull.
All right, guys, I'm going to join Cull. Let's get rid of it. Next black, Planeswalker Scorn. 2 and a black for an enchantment. 3 and a black. Target opponent reveals a card at random from his or her hand. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the revealed card's converted mana cost. Play this ability only anytime you could play a sorcery. I think this is another example of power creep, frankly, because back in the Planeshift world, having repeatable removal potential on an enchantment was not terrible. I'm not going to say I remember it being played all the time, but it did serve a unique niche.
Right. Right, and that's the thing is I really want to like it, and there are things about it to like, but given the other cards that are available to us at any given time, I just think that's kind of been buried in Power Creep.
I agree. I think at the end of the day, if we were going to run black of anything, this would just never see a cut above the 99. Culled.
Yeah. Cool.
White, Spear of Heliod.
I think we've already done this one.
Have we? Well, we have multiple copies in here, and listen, This is a testament to the fact that this process is truly randomized, guys. Like we
for sure.
Okay.
But look,
1 and 2 white for a legendary enchantment artifact. Creatures you control get +1/+1. And 1 and 2 white to tap, destroy target creature that dealt damage to you this turn.
Yep. Look, we kept it last time, and I would keep it again and again and again and again. I love spears, and I would like to have all of them because I would gladly play them in any white-based deck. It's an anthem and removal. Come on.
That's the thing. Even if you were to say you're going to play a mostly creatureless control, like let's say in its right approach, even if the anthem did nothing for you, it's still repeatable destruction on a stick. And this is kind of a good reference point for the Planeswalker scorn that we just culled. This guarantees the destruction of a creature that lands damage on you, period.
Yep.
On a stick. And if you happen to have a decent section of creatures, the anthem effect is icing on the cake. Yeah. And of course, in an aggro scenario, the anthem effect makes you more effective on the board with board presence, power, toughness, the whole deal. And it makes the opponent scared to retort. I mean, it's
been
not enough to be said.
Keep.
That is a unanimous keep. Last white. Fabled Hero, 1 and 2 white for a 2/2 double strike. Heroic, whenever you cast a spell that targets Fabled Hero, put a +1/+1 counter on it.
Yep. Keep.
Yeah. You think it for limited?
No, I mean, no. I'm thinking any format that lets you play that and Rancor. I mean, I'm talking, Selesnya mid-range, Enchantress type thing, even maybe. I've always loved that card since it came out. I think it's so cool. I mean, you can just dab it with any sort of enchant creature you want, and it becomes a very formidable threat. I love that card.
I'll give you that, man. And I will also say, since you brought up Rancor, I just happened to think of Armadillo Cloak, and I love the idea.
Yeah,
slapping your cloak on him and then swinging double strike trample lifelink with a 5/5. God, that would be so scrumptious.
Exactly.
I love it. We're definitely keeping it. And frankly, dude, we may end up wanting to make a white portion of the current cube we're building to be a heroic theme, which would be a blast, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. First multicolor card, Timoret the Murder King. Black and red for a 2/2, sack another creature. He deals 2 damage to target player, or 1 and a black, sack a creature to return him from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah, I never liked that card, but you went through a phase that you did, and you might still like him. I don't know. What do you think?
Dude, I went through a soft phase of, we'll say, sympathy for the card. It's one of those cards that I want to like. It's in Rakdos, so it's already it's red, but I love the idea that he's recurable, and I love the idea that you can launch some creatures. If it said creature or player, it would be infinitely better. And they went and cut out the creature part of the clause, and the only time that's useful anymore is to finish the game. Which in Rakdos aggro, let's face it, like in a standard format where you're working with 20 life, that might play a role. But in any other format than you and I are going to be interested in, we care much more about card advantage and managing the board than we do about 2 damage to the head. So
yeah.
Now, here is one thing. We got to respect our own personal rule, right?
Yeah.
Of the gods. And he is a legendary creature.
Yeah. Yeah, we can keep him for now. If another copy shows its face around this segment, we'll kick him right out.
Yes, and guys, just so you know, we do separate the cards that have already been done on this segment. So if you've seen a repeat, it's because it's a second copy. And like Patrick said, if we see a second copy, that thing's got to go. All right, next multicolored card, Mercurial Chemister. He's a 3 and is it for a 2/3, 1 tap, draw 2 cards, or red tap, discard a card, and he deals damage to target creature equal to the discarded card's converted mana cost. I'm going to just start by saying I love this card.
I'm sure you do.
I love you.
I know.
Yeah, and I'm going to let you go ahead and get over it with your heavy size. This thing, dude, draw 2 on a stick and then having removal options on a stick is delicious. Yes, he's 5 mana. Yes, he's very small. No, he won't win you any games. But
Thank you. I was waiting for the truth to come out.
yeah, no, I mean, look, he's not a game breaker. He's not a format breaker by any means. But I think in the right list, he's like one of those niche cards where if you're playing some Greaves and other boots, you know, he might play a role somewhere. Or maybe, honestly, this is not a joke. This is not an exaggeration. In Limited, in some type of is it spells matter thing, I could actually see putting this card in a cube where we kept the power level fairly low.
Yeah, I can see that.
So for that reason, I'm going to vote for keep. What are your thoughts?
I will let you keep that if you put it in a cube tomorrow. Otherwise, get it out of here.
Put it to use or wipe with it. Okay. First artifact. This is dope. Argentum Armor. This is a
we
6
both
mana
really
equipment.
like that card.
Oh, we love it. It's awesome. It's 6 mana equipment. So it's printed in, I want to say this was Commander 2014.
Yeah,
Right?
I think it was
Maybe
printed once before that in a non-core set, but then it was made again in a core set, right?
Yes,
Or in a
good point.
set,
In this case, it is the Commander version because this was in the Fury Commander. But equipped creature gets +6/+6, and whenever equipped creature attacks, you destroy a permanent.
Yep.
You equip it for 6. Now, I'm going to say, guys, heavy costed equipment are generally not appealing to me, but white tends to have a lot of ways to get around those costs. And it's just when you have an option to give a creature removal on its attack trigger, that's hard to beat, man.
And not only, let me say too, not only white-based stuff, but if you're a blue player like myself, but you find it difficult to maybe destroy some like certain types of permanents, maybe, you know, it's difficult to destroy enchantments or something. Well, you can play some Ethereum Sculptor type cards that lets you reduce the cost of artifacts, you know, play an armor at a cheaper cost, and then clear the board with some bounces, and then attack with that sculptor and clear away, you know, that permanent that's giving you issues. So I actually do like it for a kind of blue-based control as well. I don't think it only has a place in white-based decks.
No, that's an excellent point. And along that point, you also have like black, you know, big mana. You've got rampy type stuff with green. Like you can certainly find a place to put Argentum Armor.
Right. And again, black is another one of those colors where you'll have difficulty removing some permanent types. So an Argentum Armor type thing will help
Artifacts
you
and
get
enchantments are always a consideration for black. And you're right. I mean, this is a great way to do it. Now, it's later game, but if you're playing black big mana, you're going to be able to pump this out a little faster than most. So I think we agree. This is a keeper.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Great art.
Oh, excellent art. It almost looks like a Predator helmet, you know? You would expect there to be like a collection of heads next to it. Oh, boo. My friend.
Uh-oh.
Rune Chanter's Pike. Oh, man, he laughs every time, but it's so legit. Listen, guys, listen, no, I'm going to say this. Guys, this is a 2 mana equipment. You equip it for 2, for the low cost of 2. Equipped creature has first strike and gets +X+0, where X is the number of instants and sorcery cards in your graveyard. First strike and +X+0. Turn any 0 into a hero.
I have to say, just one of the funniest things to me in kind of where you sit psychologically in Magic is you absolutely hate red, but you are magnetically drawn to is it cards. Rune Chanter's Pike is at its core an is it card.
I know. I
Right?
can't help
And
myself, dude.
like that cruddy is it card we just passed a few minutes ago. You love those weird, tricksy is it things, and yet you
I
hate
know.
red. It's so weird.
I don't have an excuse or an answer. I'm not going to try to use them on the spot. You know, and I won't soul search for it either. And I'm not going to apologize for it. Listen, Frostburn Weird is one of the best creatures ever been printed. And this card loves to sit on a flyer after you ripped through a bunch of cantrips and burn spells. I'm not going to apologize for that.
All right.
That's what red was designed for, was to be Blue's right-hand man.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think we would both say keep on that.
Yes, and I think you would agree that this card may actually have roles to play in non-is it spells matter type decks.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is that, especially in a format like Commander, even creature heavy decks, you're going to play some instants and sorceries more than likely. And even if that card was, let's say, it give you the value of +3/+0 in first strike, or +4/+0 in first strike, that matters a lot.
Right.
For its low cost. Okay.
Yeah. And something like Rune Chanters, one more little tidbit on Rune Chanters. It can be cool if you're playing like a blue-based, say, mill type deck, but the mill strategy isn't working. Rune Chanters can end the game in one turn, right? So it is an interesting kind of smoking gun to have there if your primary strategy doesn't work, because it does synergize with mill pretty well.
Beautifully said. And I have to say that that's part of my allure to the card. You know, as a grow player especially, I love ripping through low cost cantrips and instants and sorceries, and that card, like you said, can single-handedly create a win condition out of even a 1/1 or an ornithopter. You know, like, it doesn't even need to have power of its own. And it's so cheap from a mana cost perspective to be able to provide you that end. And so not enough can be said, in my opinion, about that card. And yes, it is beyond just a simple fetish. Guys, this has been an awesome episode of Keep It or Cull It. Thanks for joining us. Remember, if you had fun, drop down below, send us a comment, subscribe, hit the bell, make sure you know when we're launching new stuff, which we will always be producing new stuff. We've got box cracks, we've got Philosophorexias, we've got all kinds of cool discussions we're going to be continuing to bring you guys' way. Say that again, Patrick.
Some gameplay coming up.
Yep. I can't wait to unveil that one. We're super excited about that. And with that, guys, have a great rest of your whatever. We'll see you next time on the next episode.